Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. As always, a free way to support the channel is by leaving a thumbs up, by leaving a comment, by leaving 2 comments or 3 comments or infinity comments, however you feel like you have to do in the course of your day, or by subscribing if you have not already done so, because it does help with the algorithm. And without further ado, I hurt myself. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, if you've been here the last couple of days, you might have realized or understood or have seen that Bitcoin's price was dropping. Bitcoin's price fell, the cryptocurrency market fell. We started getting calls and websites and other things like that discussing exactly how low Bitcoin was going to go. For those of you not looking at the screen, it says crypto market dumps $150 billion with a B as Bitcoin correction deepens. Now, you want to know the really weird part? So normally it could be that, what are the usual excuses? Bitcoin was overbought, or we need to have a correction, or consolidation, or technical analyzers. It's always something. Depending on where you look, it's always some type of an answer that they have found as to why Bitcoin is falling. But however, I challenge you with this. We got some really crazy news in the last, it's been about 8, 9, 10 or so hours. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that once, hopefully, the rest of the world begins to wake up, they'll realize, oh man, I should have been buying Bitcoin this whole time. Not financial advice, but you know, it looks like things are moving on up into a sunny disposition because of all the news that I'm about to tell you about right now. So the market dropped. And it dropped after we got this news, which also doesn't make a lot of sense. First up, Fidelity Investments, the $4.9 trillion asset manager, has filed paperwork with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, otherwise known as the SEC, to have a Bitcoin exchange traded fund. I know, crazy, right? Wild that they would even think of doing that. The Wise Origin Blockchain Trust was filed with the SEC on Wednesday, according to a Form S-1 registration statement that appeared on the Regulators website. The ETF aims to track the digital currency's daily performance using the Fidelity Bitcoin Index PR, an index that's derived from several price feeds. They said the trust provides direct exposure to Bitcoin. Usually, alwaysly, these ETFs are going to be buying Bitcoin directly. So I assumed when I saw the news that Fidelity was getting, first of all, we've known that Fidelity has been into Bitcoin since, it's been around since 2018, 2019, where they were first like, hey guys, we're buying Bitcoin. And everyone was like, Fidelity, go sit in the corner. The fact that they have filed for a Bitcoin ETF is a little insane. Do you want to know why? Because I have predicted many times before in the past, while there's a Van Eck and while there's a Winklevi and while there's a CBOE and CME and ABC and everyone else is trying to get their own Bitcoin ETF, I think and assumed it would be one of the larger players in the market who would definitely get it first. Direct exposure to Bitcoin and the shares of the trust are valued on a daily basis using the same methodology used to calculate the index. Fantasticals. Here's the actual filing with the SEC right here for those of you who are wondering. The Wise Origin Bitcoin Trust. This is from Fidelity. Absolutely incredible. This thing is like 938 bajillion pages. I'm going to scroll through it quickly so you get to see that it's actually real. Table of contents. Wow, amazing. Awesome, cool. Regarding statements. Awesome, cool. So then I was like, well, you know, that's only one cherry on top of the cake. Can I have an even bigger cherry that's been injected with chocolate? Of course you can, said the news. Guess who else is also filing for a Bitcoin ETF? That's crazy. Goldman Sachs is the latest company to put its name in the hat to offer a Bitcoin-tied ETF, according to a regulatory form filed on Tuesday. So I'm certain at this point that we are either going to have a Bitcoin ETF from Goldman Sachs or from Fidelity. Just a random guess at this point. I think they were waiting for the big wigs to really, I don't know why I did that, to get into the space And alas, here they are. Because the news that we've been hearing for so long, if you really read directly between the lines, is that we don't like the people who are trying to launch their Bitcoin ETF first. We want bigger names. Usually one of the main arguments has been about custody and security and so-and-so-ity. I assume if you have trillions of dollars in assets under management, your custody is probably in tip-top shape, if you will. The fund will focus on investing in companies that fit the theme of disruptive innovation, with the company defined as the introduction of a technology-enabled new product or service that potentially changes the way the world works. Fantastic. It may or may not include Bitcoin. That is... I can't use the L word. I can't not say that it's not a lie. Which would fall under its group of fintech innovation companies. The ETF may have exposure, they said, and I quoteth, the ETF may have exposure to cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin indirectly through an investment in a grantor trust. The ETF's exposure to cryptocurrency may change over time, and accordingly, such exposure may not always be represented in the ETF's portfolio. So meaning they can accumulate crypto and not actually have to tell you because it doesn't have to be shown in the portfolio. Fantastic. Goldman is the latest company, SEC, Bitcoin ETF, and where's the other? So the is right here. It says, but there are still security and custody concerns that must be addressed when it comes to a Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency ETF. This is what the SEC has been saying for I don't know how long. It's really weird because, Brazil did it and Canada did it and Norway did it. It's crazy how they got their security under control, but anyway. So the news is, here's the actual filing for it right here. Goldman Sachs, the Goldman Sachs Group, or GS Finance Corp, for their listing with the SEC for a crypto-tied ETF. I'm just going to assume, big assumption, bam, kablam, kablam, that when the rest of the world wakes up and they see that this news is real, that'll get the actual market moving, because, it doesn't make much sense that Bitcoin, I don't know, I'm hoping that by the time you wake up and you see this, that the market is higher than where it currently is, because it looks a little insane. I think Bitcoin is down by like 7%. There are some coins that are down by like 12%. What was the other one that was like pumping before? Theta or something, down by 25%. A lot of really, really strong hit to the market. So those are the first two things that we're going to be talking about. Fidelity is trying to launch a Bitcoin ETF, and Goldman Sachs is launching a cryptocurrency tied, wink, wink, ETF. And yeah, let's moving on. Right. Also, it's just here, just in case you wanted to look at it again. Bitcoin corrects 5% below 53,000. I think we hit 52,000 something or other, despite Fidelity filing for Bitcoin ETF. I just assume the market's asleep. I just assume that everyone is, I don't even know what my assumption is anymore, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense. There's also a lot of news like this floating around. It's just calm down. Bitcoin is fine, says analyst. A massive rebound soon. This is not the only article like this. There are tons of them talking about that people shouldn't be worried. People shouldn't be scared. And to be completely fair, we are basically in price where we were 2.5 weeks ago. I think the bit of the mania got into the market and everyone kind of freaked out when prices started falling. But I think it's also fine to freak out because it doesn't really make a lot of sense that we would have been falling in the first place. Can you name one day, where we got like bad news? The baddest news that we got was from the, oh gosh, what was it? Like a day or two ago? When the Fed guy was like, when the Fed guy was like, that Bitcoin is volatile and it's not a currency. And I was like, okay, we got that. Yeah, we knew that. What else you got? But the market fell on that news. It also went up on Tesla accepting Bitcoin for cars, but not on the two largest heavyweights, financial boxers, whatever, getting into Bitcoin, or rather furthering their stance into Bitcoin. Anyway, that's out of that news. And without further ado, let's move on. Imagine if I really spoke like that. Like, what would you, what would you do? You wouldn't be able to understand me. Next up, Bitcoin whales have continued accumulating more Bitcoin. What? Even when a market correction of nearly $5,000 create a lot of noise about the further downside. Large Bitcoin whales have continued buying the dip throughout this bull run, despite major corrections in the tune of 20% in the past couple of months. The transaction value of the said transfer, was well over $1 billion, giving rise to speculation about another possible institutional purchase. That's right, boys and girls. The idea is that we've been seeing a lot of crypto. Once again, Bitcoin's price should not be as low as it is. Just because the amount of crypto going off of exchanges is also increasing quite rapidly, meaning that institutions normally, this metric shows that institutions are buying when the amount of crypto on exchanges is rapidly depleting. So don't really have to go any much further into that. It says 14,600 Bitcoin withdrawn from Coinbase in 1 hour. Increíble that the price would even think of dropping. The only thing that I think that could have potentially actually maybe had an effect on the price of Bitcoin and the wider market, as it were, is this news. But even then, we've known this already. So it does not make much sense that this would have affected our market. On the 19th of March, the Financial Action Task Force, it sounds like a superhero team, published draft guidance on the risk-based approach to virtual assets. The newly updated guidance now applies anti-money laundering and know your customer rules to stablecoins, decentralized finance, and non-fungible token assets. For those of you who have no idea what's going on, last year, or maybe at the very end of 2019, the FATF, the Financial Action Task Force, we don't hear about them quite often, but they do have a very heavy arm, announced that cryptocurrencies needed to be regulated. At that same exact time in our market, they panicked. People were like, oh, regulations, I can't believe it. I can't believe it's happening. I've been telling people for years, and I guess the thing is that I don't have a bajillion people watching my videos. I think it would make the market a lot calmer, if you will. I told you years ago that regulators were here and they were going to regulate the markets. Got it. So the entire point is that every cryptocurrency exchange around 2017 and 2018 started getting banking charters. I believe Coinbase got one. I think Binance maybe has one. I think Kraken also has one. They have something banking-esque where they are basically banks. And the entire idea is, on top of that, they had to and were required by the FATF to implement KYC and AML regulations. Know your customer, anti-money laundering. Meaning, if you are signing up for their website, you are trying to buy, Bitcoin or something like that, you've been on Coinbase, you have to give them your information. You have to say that I'm real. Blah, blah, blah. You kind of get all that other stuff. It's the same exact thing. Imagine walking into a bank and being like, give me money. Excuse me? Give me money. I want money. Are you robbing us or do you want an account? I want an account. And you don't have to provide them any information. The regulators are basically making sure that crypto exchanges are equivalent to banks. That's the basic point that I am trying to make. And everyone freaked out. I had to make 3 videos where I was like, everyone calm down, because we knew this was coming, right? So if you do not know right now, I'm going to tell you, we are going to have regulations on the cryptocurrency space. We already have regulations, but there are probably going to be more. They want it to look exactly like the old system, so there's no real differentiating about it, so they can tell where money is going and when this is swapping and when this is happening and yada, 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 yada. You get the idea. I think what put some fear into the hearts of people is that they're now saying that they want regulations for stablecoins. Did you not think that these things that are tied to or look like digital versions of fiat currencies were not going to be regulated? Of course they are. I was just telling you a couple days ago about the news that we had from a couple of months before that, where between Russia and China, there are people who are trading back and forth and they're swapping whatever they're buying, yada, yada, yada. They're not using the local currencies because it's difficult to take this pile of money to this store, to exchange it into that paper currency, to go back outside to then trade it, and to take something back over the border and have to swap their money back and forth. So they're using stable coins, and usually US dollar stable coins. We've also gotten that news. There are people within Africa and South America who are also transacting in US dollar stablecoins. They already find the US dollar to be far more stable than their local currencies, and therefore they're saying, okay, a really easy way for us to trade is that you have a smartphone, I have a smartphone, download this app, and we will swap these stablecoins back and forth. Just an easy way to do it. Governments don't like that because it kind of goes above their heads. First of all, it's not as regulated as they would like it to be. But then the other part is that they're using a digital version of your crap, and they don't want to use your crap, so they're using the digital version that you have no control over. This is where we get that idea from, and this is why I said a couple of years, it's been about a year by now. I was like, Tether is putting themselves onto every single blockchain. They're on like 7 or 8 right now, and I was like, I have a feeling that's going to continue because at some point the regulator is going to be like, regulations, and they're going to want to get control over everything. Same exact thing with DeFi. This one's going to be a bit more difficult, but I will tell you they're going to try to get it under control. I think people really, I'm not a DeFi skeptic so much as I believe that DeFi will change the world, but I firmly myself do not believe that pancakes, hot dogs, sushis, and almost said cumbersomes, and any other vegetable, fruit, animal, whatever is, going to be the face of this market. I think DeFi is definitely going to make it. I think a lot of the coins that we have right now are garbage. What a lot of people don't get about the DeFi space is that it's people use the word decentralized so lightly, but don't really understand what it means to have a system where you do not need government. You don't need, there's no real checks and balances, as it were, from the old world. There was an article a couple of weeks ago. I read it myself. I didn't feel the need to actually bring it to the channel, where there are a lot of people who are unable to get loans in some sort of way from their local bank. So they're actually getting loans through DeFi. And they are, I have all these Bitcoin from before, and they're using it as collateral, and they're taking out these loans to be able to buy whatever they are getting the loan money for. But that completely destroys the idea of needing a bank, needing the old system of having to go through some other intermediary, because it is so decentralized that you are in a secure network. It's more robust, and therefore no one can kind of tell you no, if you will. So the point is, DeFi is a very difficult focal point that regulators are going to try to regulate, but they're not going to be able to regulate. It's just not going to happen. I assume that the regulation will come in the way of, we've heard larger banks getting into the space. I assume that they're also going to try and market something that they say is DeFi, but will never be as decentralized as anything that's actually DeFi that we have right now. And that will be the thing that will fall under regulations. They will probably assume and or hope that other things simply fall under the rug, flow away, disappear, if you will, but it's not going to happen. Someone said years ago, the box has been opened, Pandora's box. Like, you cannot put all this stuff back into a box and hope that people forget about it. The DeFi system is going to continue to expand with or without regulators. That's, once again, not me holding my fist up and saying power to the people. It's just more of a logical thing. They're saying that it needs to be gotten under control because they cannot control it. And last but not least is the NFT space. A lot of people, I told you before, regulators, wow. Remember the news that we had? I believe it was last week. That was on CNBC, where the person was like, yeah, a lot of people are trading or rather using Ether to be able to buy these NFTs, but they have to pay the taxes on the Ether that they actually used, because it would be like cashing out of the coin. And even that, a lot of the NFT space, I told you all before, I thought about creating NFTs for some of the art that I do, but I think this space isn't too much of a bubble. Maybe I'll do it after the bubble has popped, just so we can kind of have a more, accurate price reading for all these things. The fact that people, so the point to be made is, sorry for the long explanation, but I think everyone needs to hear all of these things. I signed up for an NFT platform, and as you might have imagined, as it is decentralized and all these different whatever, there was no sign up process. I signed up as TMI, And that was basically it. And it was like, upload your NFT now. And I was going to do it, but I told you before, the gas fee for me to be able to actually create my art into an NFT was, I think, $46 on the Ethereum blockchain. And I was like, no way, Jose. That's definitely not happening. That's way too much money. But imagine what other people are doing. Meaning, it's basically you're able to, on an NFT platform, maybe not the Winklevoss's one, because they're making sure that they're as regulated as possible. But on the 38 others that also exist, you can create a profile. Did you hear about the guy? I must have told you. There were multiple people who are tanking works of Banksy, like just the image, digitizing it, creating a profile on these websites, calling themselves Banksy, and they're selling these digital pieces in editions of like 200 or whatever for like 5,000, 10,000 each. Because people are like, oh, this could be Banksy. So they're buying it because, you know, Banksy's elusive and yada, yada, blah, 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 blah. But they're also making tons of money. What happens is on these NFT platforms is that you get paid through the actual thing, like the in-app payment browser thing or whatever, and you're able to withdraw your money immediately. We had the news, I must have told you about this a day or two ago, where Beeple, the guy who sold his art for $69 million, which is absolutely insane. I think the money that he got after the agency fees or whatever, you know, the auction fees, I think was $56 or $53 million. And according to their thing, he cashed out immediately into US dollars. So now imagine a world where you can create NFTs on these different platforms, all these different spaces, on the different blockchains. No one can really stop you per se. You imagine being a fake Banksy, making $3.5 million in Ether in a day and a half, and then you sell or take off your Ether from that platform. Regulators don't like stuff like that. So all these things will be regulated. I don't know how to tell you that any further. I don't know how to make it any clearer, if you will. But they're going to try their darndest to be able to do so. Same exact thing with decentralized exchanges. They're not... Logically, they are not going to be able to do so. They're probably going to, at some point, try to make decentralized exchanges illegal, saying they fall out of our purview and therefore you cannot use them, but they will always exist in some sort of way. What they want, to finish this entire point, because this is a long story, is to try and make crypto look like the old system. Part of the problem is the old system was created back in the 20s. Once again, you have to understand the rules and regulations that we follow, and you should be following them depending on which country that you're in, were made in the 20s. We are now in the new 20s, so we're following 100-year-old rules that don't apply to anything that's digital or technological. But this is what they want. So this could have been the reason why prices fell, simply because the regulators were shaking their sticks and they were like, hey, young people, get off my lawn. That's all I can really think of as to why prices might have fallen. But even then, it's DeFi, NFTs, and decentralized exchanges. It has nothing to do with Bitcoin. The news that we got from Tesla, both the buying of them and the being able to buy with Bitcoin, from Fidelity, from Grayscale, from Goldman Sachs, all these places every single day. It's just a little weird that Bitcoin's price is falling. We have seen multiple times them saying that we're waiting for a rebound kind of thing. But in this moment, I understand that the human mind tells you like, when rebound, or like, am I in trouble because I did not sell before? It's just how the cryptocurrency space is. If you are new here, and I mean if you've been here for less than 4 months, it's just how the market is. We are going to have frustrating days. We are going to have euphoric days. We are going to have days where we sit there looking at the market and we're like, why you no move kind of things. Just understand it's just how it is. Regulators are here. You've been regulated your entire life. Everything you do, everything you've done has been under regulatory scrutiny. This market is going to be no different because people are making huge amounts of money. They want their slice of the pie. Regulatory. I think this is also it as well. Regulatory compliance in full focus as digital assets reach mainstream adoption globally. We are at the point where this is no longer a fringe thing. This is no longer a niche. This is no longer a something on the side kind of thing. The trillion-dollar asset managers are now in our market. They are buying. They are here to stay. And as such, this is why the regulators are trying so hard to make sure that they get everything under control, because it's always about money. It has nothing to do with your freedom or lack of your freedom or anything like that. Kind of. It's just about they want control, and they're going to do what they need to do to be able to maintain that control. Now you know. And without further ado, let's move on. Next up, after setting a new all-time high at 61,699 on the 13th of March, Bitcoin dropped to $53,000 a day or two ago, a decline of more than 14% in 10 days. However, following this latest drop, on-chain analyst Willy Woo speculates that another institutional investor could be buying the dip. I don't even have to go over this. The point is, yes, someone's definitely buying the dip right now. We are going to get this news probably around the time Bitcoin goes around $65,000 or $70,000. We are going to hear which institution did, and everyone's going to go, oh, I can't believe it. They were buying this entire time. I thought I was the only one selling, but they were buying. We've gone over this about 5 times already. Like, I think literally 5 times. 4 times. Doesn't matter times. Every time that the price has fallen, oh, wow. Almost said something really weird. I'm basically here to let you know that people are buying so that you understand. So when we get the news about a major institution or institutions buying this dip, and we go to a new all-time high, no one acts surprised. Don't say, oh, gosh, I wish I never sold my Bitcoin. When we go up to $85,000 and we dip back down to 72, and we have these conversations once again because everyone's like, why fall? Why make price fall? And then we go through it again. Someone's buying the dip. And then we go to 100K. You get the point. Anyway, so I think this is also maybe it as well. Nope, something slightly different, but it also ties directly into it as well. Inflows into cryptocurrency investment products topped $57 billion. $57 billion? That's a lot of money. Last week, marking a new all-time high and underscoring the rapid adoption of digital assets underway among institutions. For the week ending the 19th of March, digital asset manager CoinShares revealed that net inflows into digital asset investment products rose by $99 million. Contributing to that increase, Grayscale generated $9.1 million of inflows, bringing its year-to-date total to $2.37 billion US. Grayscale is by far the world's largest digital asset manager with $44 billion in assets under management as of Monday. Flows into CoinShare itself, however, declined by $25 million from the previous week. So meaning if they had 50, it only dropped by 25, so this money still went into their thing, with year-to-date flows down by $93 million. So the news once again is that people are buying, and I need you to understand so that we can stop having this conversation what OTC means. If you do not know what OTC means, Google it. Did you do it? Okay. It means over the counter. It means basically when you go to a cryptocurrency exchange, if you have so much money, let's say you have $50 million and you knew that any type of money like that being pushed into the market could potentially move the price of Bitcoin, you walk into Coinbase directly because you are that rich and powerful with a briefcase of money. It's not an actual briefcase, but just for the sake of the thing that we're talking about. And you basically go, hey, I have $50 million. I want to buy Bitcoin, but I do not want to buy it on your exchange or through Coinbase Pro. I don't want anyone to see that this transaction has happened. They go, got you, bro. They take you into the back. They take out their computer. I don't know why they're taking out a computer. They basically transfer you the coins directly. So as if you can transfer me coins, I can transfer you coins. It never shows in a cryptocurrency exchange. It only shows on the actual blockchain. That's what an over-the-counter purchase is. So many people all the time, it's been happening for years, will say, well, if all this accumulation is happening, why are we not seeing it in Bitcoin's price? Because for the 38th time, not to be condescending, but I mean it's actually happened 38 times, Whenever prices drop, this is when they buy. They're not buying directly on cryptocurrency exchanges because they have an easier and better way for them to buy, to be able to accurately secure, hey, I want to put in a buy order for $50 million, but I want to do it through you. Send me the coins. Here's the briefcase full of money. They get up, everyone shakes hands and walks out. Because what happens is if you're on a cryptocurrency exchange and you put in a buy order for $50 million, you begin to gobble up all the sell orders. The sell orders are not usually for an entire Bitcoin. If you are trying to buy spot, the price at that direct moment, what happens is there's a sell order for 0.01. You would buy it. There's a one for 0.25. You buy it. You buy it up until your buy order is completely filled and you have filled up that $50 million. However, at the same exact time on that exchange, you've just purchased 748 orders that were all for sells. That's how it works. So people look at the prices on different cryptocurrency exchanges and they go, someone just put in a buy order for $50 million and it starts gobbling up all the sells. The price begins to go higher on that exchange. Everyone begins to panic. Why is that exchange going higher? What's happening with Bitcoin right now? And everyone else starts to buy on every other cryptocurrency exchange. This is why sometimes we see like a bit of a price discrepancy, if you will, amongst exchanges. Sometimes Bitcoin hits 61,900 on this exchange, and sometimes it hits 61,699 or 61,540. It's because of things like that happen. There's more buy orders on one cryptocurrency exchange, and this is why the bigwigs, the Goldman Sachs and the Fidelities, they use their own price aggregators for price metrics that they trust, because sometimes the prices can be, kind of all over the place. Anyway, yes, they're buying up more Bitcoin and more crypto all the time. Don't assume because prices are falling that they are not buying. They definitely are. It's just a matter of, I was discussing with my friend on a walk yesterday. Hello, friend, if you are watching. That so many people are in the market because you don't understand what's really taking place. What it means for the demise of the US dollar. What it really means. That we have indications that not only is the dollar on its last pinky, but that regulators have not banned Bitcoin. They are not going to ban Bitcoin because of all the big money that's getting into the space. It's not even just about, it's not that there's money flowing into the space and they go, oh, we can't ban it. The people who make the politicians make the laws, and the politicians are all into cryptocurrencies right now. The money is too big. These Goldman Sachs, Fidelity, Grayscale, New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, et cetera, have not gotten into Bitcoin because there's a chance that it's going to fail. They have not put millions and hundreds of millions of dollars and potentially billions of dollars into the space because they're like, oh, there's a 1% chance that they might ban it. No, they have spoken to the regulators. You as a major entity do not put forth a Bitcoin ETF proposal because you plan on getting egg in your face. That does not happen. They've spoken with these regulators. They go, this is what's going to happen. Tell us what we need. We are putting this in because we have I can't use the word near guarantee that they're not going to get it. We want to get it first. That's how money works. We are at the point where right now, so many institutions and so many banks and so many governments have gotten into the space that people who understand what decentralization, who understands what Bitcoin actually means, are freaking out right now because they know that this huge tidal wave of money is going to smack us all in the face. On the other hand, you have people who came here from Reddit, who came here because of so-and-so, or because they came here for whatever the reason might actually be. And they are in it because they want to make quick money. You don't understand how big all of this is. Bitcoin is either going to zero or it's going to $100 million. There's no in between. Bitcoin as a currency is either going to completely crumble and fall apart and fail, and decentralization and cryptocurrency cease to exist, or Bitcoin is going to continue eating up all the gold, every bit of US dollar, every Turkish lira, every euro. People are going to start taking out massive amounts of debt, and debt is going to be converted into Bitcoin. There's no in between. So when you have the ultimatum of 0 or 100 million per coin, And we hear every single day, that these institutions are buying, the whales are buying the dip. The biggest and largest banks in the entire world. Don't forget about all the German banks, all the Swiss banks, all the French banks, all the UK banks, all the American banks who are getting into it. And these are just the things that have come out that we were able to hear about when we are lucky enough to have this sprinkle upon us. It's not, I don't say all this to make you go, is that honey on top of the gold? What is that? Do you see it? It's like wet yellow. Why'd they put that in the picture? It's not. It's more just to let you really understand. And when I say do your own research, it encompasses everything. Look up inflation. Look up Bretton Woods agreement. Find out why we use the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. Find out why it's going to fail. Look up all these things so that you really understand. Because there's so many people who are in the market just trying to make really quick money. And when the market dips, well, I'm gone. And it's like, no, even this right here, I'm not sure if you can see it on the screen. Hedge fund manager Ray Dalio says good probability of a US Bitcoin ban. I don't know which part of his behind that he pulled that out of, but it's complete nonsense at this point. It's absolute complete nonsense. Even more so, it is March. Let's give it December. I'm going to say December to next February. If we hear that Ray Dalio has purchased Bitcoin, it's nonsense. This is taking over the world rapidly, and this is why regulators are like, okay, we got to make sure that it's all in place. Because I have an assumption that even the regulators know what's happening, and their hand is also in the Bitcoin cookie jar. They probably also own Bitcoin themselves, because you can't be into finance and not understand what it means for the U.S. to print $7 trillion, $1.9 trillion, and then $3 trillion, and for it to not have any negative effect on the U.S. dollar. These people are also very rich. They know how to hedge not only against inflation, but the devaluations of other currencies. Anyway, that's that news, and let's move on. Next up in... My gosh, this was far too popular for my brain to actually handle. In an interview with Pompliano, Kramer from that show where he's like, buy money, blah, 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 blah. He's like screaming at the screen. Kramer revealed that he told his chief financial officer to buy $500,000 worth of Bitcoin in the span of a few days. He said, I went and called my CFO, all right? And I said, listen, I just talked to this guy, Pomp, and I want tomorrow, and I'm going to give you some numbers. I said I hope I don't get in trouble. I said I want $500,000 in this, and you can buy it over the course of a couple of days, but I don't want any longer than that, end quote. The host of CNBC's Mad Money notes that since he's cashed out of his initial investment, so he made money, he cashed out the initial $500,000 that he put inside, and might hold the remaining capital in Bitcoin forever. He said, I have always said to people, listen, if you could ever in a situation where, what? I have always said to people, listen, if you could ever be in a situation where you could play with the house's money, you take out what you're in, then you're blessed and you never have to touch it. And that's what I've done. There are a lot of people who are mad that I took out the money I put in, but now I'm never going to touch it. Pomp, I'm not, and I may never. The news is that Jim Cramer, who was, I believe, very against Bitcoin many moons ago, as everyone was, but then it was like, hey, Bitcoin, and began to love it. He's apparently made an enormous amount of money. I don't think he says how much he bought each Bitcoin for. No, of course not. Made an enormous amount of money, pulled out his initial capital that he put in, $500,000, bless his heart. And all the rest that he has in Bitcoin, he's going to keep. The news being someone else bought Bitcoin. They made a lot of money with it. Pompliano. I don't know where else the news is supposed to be going from there. And he said, I've been saying 10% of gold of your portfolio since 1983. Jeez Louise. Like a million years ago. He said, and now I say 5% of gold, 5% of Bitcoin. Incredible. He also said, if my boom thesis is true, you are crazy not to have Bitcoin. So he's become a perma bull, permanent Bitcoin bull, if you will. He thinks the space is going to skyrocketed. Tons of money, dollar bills, y'all, all that kind of stuff. So I guess the news is another rich person got richer buying Bitcoin. They're holding the Bitcoin. That's more Bitcoin off the market. And now they are telling everyone, hey, you want some Bitcoin because Bitcoin's money. This was very popular news. This was quite popular news. It was all over the place. Anyway, that's the crazy not to have Bitcoin news. And to finish things off, JMP Securities has predicted that $1.5 trillion of incremental capital could flow into Bitcoin, an amount greater than the cryptocurrency's current market cap. The firm sees more wealth management companies following Morgan Stanley's example to offer Bitcoin. I forgot about Morgan Stanley was also in it as well. They're all in it. Every single one. It does not make any logical sense that prices would fall, but I guess if I actually think that 85% of the market has no idea what they're doing. And I don't mean that from like an institutional retail perspective. I think they heard about Bitcoin years ago. They saw that Bitcoin was $150. It's too expensive. I'm not buying a number for $150. They saw that Bitcoin went to 5,000, 10,000, 11,000. I'm not buying it. It's way too expensive. They saw Bitcoin hit 20,000. They had the number signs in their eyes. It fell back down. They had no faith in it from the beginning, so they weren't definitely going to be getting into the market from a $20,000 to a $3,000 plunge. They saw other people buying it. They realized that they could have purchased at $3,000 when it went to $10,000. And that's kind of the thing right now. I think so many people are in the market, really are just in the market for the money. And then once again, I think I mentioned this before in another video. That's totally fine. If you are in the market because you stand to make $125,000, $200,000 and you need to cash out because that money is going to change your life, do not let me discourage you. But it's this really weird, how do I even put this into focus? All the information that you have right now, that also doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like we know that they are here. They're not leaving. Bitcoin is finite. They are currently in the process of buying all the Bitcoin. What makes people outside of needing the money, outside of wanting to buy land, wanting to buy a farm, wanting to have an immediate better life? What causes I don't know. I guess I have to get into people's brains to really figure that out. The firm sees more wealth management companies following Morgan Stanley's example of offering Bitcoin to their clients. They said around $30 trillion of assets in the U.S. retail wealth management industry currently do not have direct access to Bitcoin. San Francisco-based financial services firm with offices nationwide, JMP Securities, said last week that Morgan Stanley's move to offer wealthy clients exposure to Bitcoin is the tip of the iceberg and could result in $1.5 trillion flowing into the cryptocurrency. Devin Ryan, fancy name, is a managing director and equity research analyst. I don't have to read anymore. The point is, all indications keep pointing to the fact that we keep getting news all the time that institutions are buying, or other companies expect institutions to be even buy and even more. All I can do, what is that? What was that in my hand? Is that a bug? The point is, I love how I freaked out. I was like, what is that? The point is, all I can do is bring you the news. I can't do any more than that, if you will. I don't control the markets, but it's just very weird. I don't know. It's just kind of odd across the entire board that we get such substantial news and the prices continue to fall, but then they always end up going back up. And we know that adoption is there and people are accumulating. I know that you're accumulating. You're still buying. I get a lot of the I bought the dip messages on Twitter or here. But I don't know. Just weird. I mean, the whole last year has been weird. So I don't expect today to be any different, if you will. But that's all the news. It's all incredible news. None of it is bad news, except for like the NFT regulation. Sure, why not? I don't really care. I mean, they already regulate when people buy art for $25 million. So I assumed the NFT space was going to get it, but then you can't really regulate it because it's all right. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters, Professor Wally from Gunbot University, Captain Something in the Z-Way Lay, Crypto Black Sheep, AJ Cut 5, Speedy 5, nope, Speedy 655, and Carlos was like, Mobarazi, Jojo Shawshow, VB Nerd 21, Miguel Rollet, Lauren De Silva, Quoted Biddy, Barebones Mining, Troy, All Good, Space Case, Need a Miracle, Crypto Style, Paternoster, Conan Dusk, Leg Day, Snacky Chan, Tolik Banana, Suspicious Agile and Blockchain, Avari Williams, David James, Isla Hani, Ashahari, Oscar Maldonado, Utopia 569, Moonman, High XRP, Joshua, Vinny Marshall, Nostromo, John Sarson, the Anima Rita, Billy Phobia, Todd Mullis, Adam Greasing, Mohamoroni, Messenger, Thailand, John Trotter, Wise Not L2 for Truth of the World, Background Network, Crypto Artist, Coldy 3D, Damien Sessuna, Rich Richard III, Vladimir Pillar, Paxton, Nick Mangialavori, Anthony Charles, Jim Gardner, Jamie Fox, Minted Coins, Miller, Chester, Everything, Cosmos, Leg Day, Yes to Crypto, Bottom, Boatface, Infinite, Master Staff, Arithmetic 17, Big Me, Cake, Tigro, Marchini, Stone, Crypto Lano, Krilla Michelle, URL, and Bolero, Bastos. Yeah, on Crypto Lano. Yeah, I said that one. Okay, that's everything. Okay, cool. Thank you all very, very much for your support. Thank you to everyone who is a member of the channel who clicked the little join button below. Thank you to everyone who is a Patreon member. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who left a like, a comment, or comments, or has subscribed. Thank you. I think we're at or near 200,000 subscribers, which is crazy. I never thought I would, like, legitimately thought I would get there when I first started this channel. I think my first 100 subs were like the most difficult thing in the entire world to get. It's crazy how life works. At the moment, Bitcoin is at 52,783. Here's the late night drop as you all slept. No real indication for it outside of the Financial Action Task Force thing. I don't know, but something's going to give at some point. The selling pressure cannot go on forever. Everything's in the red. I don't think I have to tell you exactly how much money you lost last night, just to be completely, real with you. But everything is in the red. Yeah, Theta did fall by 25%. It's trying to move back up. I believe, I think it fell because the developers were like, they were going to do something, but now they're not going to do it, or it's going to take like 4 more months or something like that. So sure, why not? Whatever you need to tell yourself. Filecoin is up by 11%. Anything else crazy? The BitTorrent token is being pumped by the heavens because no one's actually using it. It's up by 2% right now. Anything else? No. Oh, okay. What's that? PunDX. Yes. The greatest coin ever. PunDX is up by 23% because PunDX is getting a PunDX NTF, and they're being bought up by institutions, and that was sarcasm. Maybe not good sarcasm, but it was still sarcasm. I do hope, despite this red day, that you all enjoyed. I do hope you understand what I'm saying about the actual adoption of this. I understand that it can be a bit deflating sometimes when prices are down, but understand that if you are a holder of Bitcoin, you are so far ahead of the curve that it's going to be scary in the future. There may be points in the future where you sit there and go, I wish I had reevaluated my portfolio in a better way to potentially have accumulated more of the things that were in my portfolio to make extra gains, but that's just how it goes. I do hope you all enjoyed. I do hope you all continue to have a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening. Wherever you are, wherever you might be on this planet, I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, participating, helping, coagulating? Congratulating. Participating. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, coagulating. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.